Hi everyone and welcome to NCHC Between the Boards. I'm Greg Ankers. A lot to get to in the next 30 minutes, including Omaha's new home as the Mavericks return to campus and play their first true home contest of the season. We'll check in with the Miami Redhawks a little later and catch up with Rico Blasi's group and see how they're doing in this young start to the college hockey season. And we'll preview Miami's weekend ahead as they have a top 15 showdown against St. Cloud State. All of that ahead in moments, but we'll begin with our Spotlight series and a lot going on with the Omaha Mavericks. Their first home game in Baxter Arena took place on campus last weekend. They entered the weekend ranked number 1 in one of the 2 college hockey polls, and they were facing an Air Force squad who they've never lost to in their program's history. And fans and players fired up alike for this one as well they should be. Brand spanking new, beautiful building on campus, of course, and 5:32 into the first. Joel Mesner with the shot on net gets deflected out in front by Steven Spinner, and that is your first Baxter Arena goal as Omaha takes the 1-0 lead. In the second, working on a power play, Tyler Vessel with the great extra pass to Jake Randolph for the goal, and a 2-0 Mavs lead. Later in the second, Jake Gensel finding a streaking Austin Ortega, who dives for this one to get the goal to make it 3-0 Mavs after 2. This one worthy of a second look. Ortega going hard to the net and gets the reward in the third. Air Force coming back, not going away in this one. Jordan Himley beats Kirk Thompson over the shoulder for a 3-1 game, but UNO goes on to win 4-2, getting their first ever win in their new building.
Well, the guys were a little bit nervous at the start. We wanted to, kind of get to the 10-minute mark and see how everything was going, but I thought we started the game good, and that's all 5 straight games where we scored 2 goals.
There was a ton of anticipation surrounding this game for a long time, a lot of build-up, and when we got out there, we were ready. I mean, we've been preparing for that moment for a long time, years. So, I mean, when we got out there, we knew what we had to do, and it was just really exciting to see that Omaha was excited as we were.
Saturday night, Omaha looking to avoid an emotional letdown after a high from Friday night. Early on in this one, Jake Gensel looking for Ian Brady, who's going across for Austin Ortega, but that one does get denied. We stay scoreless. Later in the first, though, Omaha breaks through. Luke Nogard with terrific stick work here, setting up Jake Randolph on the backside for the goal, and it's 1-0 Mavericks. 10 minutes later, more offensive prowess from the Mavs. Justin Parizek with the initial shot. Randolph there for the follow-up goal to make it 2-0 UNO. Then, with less than a minute in the first, Gensel to who else charging toward the net but Ortega, deflecting that one in out in front. It's 3-0 Omaha after the first. They keep the pedal on the gas in the second. Gensel looking for Frederick Olofsson here, but Gensel's going to get credit for that one. 4-0 Mavs. They go on to win 4-1 and get the sweep to complete a perfect weekend.
Last night was so awesome, so overwhelming for the players. There's a tendency to be a little bit down tonight, but they weren't. They came out, and they could tell from the way they came off. They had a good warm-up, and usually a good warm-up can lead to a good game, or a good first period anyway.
There's definitely a risk of those distractions getting to you. So I guess we wanted to find that balance between obviously taking it all in and enjoying the experience, but at the same time knowing that we have a job to do. We need to go out there, stay focused on our goal, and that's to play a full 60 minutes.
Straight ahead on the program, plenty more highlights to come as more NCHC unbeaten teams put their winning streaks on the line. That's next. The North Dakota hockey program was off to its best start since 2009, unbeaten through its first 4 games. A couple more wins would equal the program's best start since 2002. In order to do that, though, UND would face Vermont on the road for the first time in Burlington. And this one would get off to a grueling start for both teams. Scoreless after the first, but in the second, UND gets on the board. Gage Osmus with the shot from the blue line. Johnny Simonson there for the rebound goal to make it 1-0 UND after 2 in the third. UND working a power play. Nick Schmaltz, sweet move there. Crossing it for Bryn Chizik for the goal out front to make it 2-0 North Dakota. The story of the night, Matt Harincue started the season as the third goaltender on the team, but due to injuries, called to duty, makes the save there on Mario Piskaric's chance. And then Jake Curley going to have a one-timer from the blue line, but Harincue there for the save. He stopped all 27 shots as UND gathers the shutout for a 2-0 victory on Friday night. On Saturday, UND punching some goals early. In the first, just over 3.5 in, Brock Besser with the feed to Drake Kajula, who goes backhand for the goal and a 1-0 UND advantage. Later in the first, tied at 1, Keaton Thompson picking it off, sending it ahead for Besser, who makes his one-on-none opportunity count for a 2-1 UND lead after 1. In the second, tied up at 2, Tucker Poolman with the shot knocked down beautifully by Christian Wolanin out front. Then UND regains the lead at 3-2. They would not look back after that. In the third, Luke Johnson behind the net with the feed to Chiswick for a 4-2 UND advantage. They go on to add one more and winning this one 5-2, getting a big road sweep at Vermont.
I don't think we brought our best game, but we battled the whole way through and were able to get the win. And we had a great third period. We always talk about being a good team and closing out periods, and we did just that. We had a great third period. I don't think we gave them much at all. And obviously it's great to go home with a sweep, and it's good for the Paraguays getting those 2 wins against non-conference teams. So overall, it's a great weekend.
It's a big step for our hockey club. Having 10 freshmen, it's a great building block to mature as a hockey team, especially when you can get a sweep on the road.
Number 9, St. Cloud State making the long trip out east to number 14, Quinnipiac. Good start for the Huskies on Friday night as Judd Peterson gets the goal there to put St. Cloud out in front 1-0. Then in the second, more from Peterson off the John Lazat shot, tipped in by Peterson, and it's a 2-0 St. Cloud lead. But later in the second, Quinnipiac with a penalty shot opportunity. Devin Taves shooting this one just wide of Lindgren on the glove side, keeping it scoreless at 2-0 St. Cloud. But Quinnipiac would get things rolling with pressure out front. Scott Davidson nets the goal here to put Quinnipiac out in front 4-2. Then in the third, a 2-on-1 for the Bobcats leads to a KJ Tiffenworth goal as Quinnipiac rolls in the opener, coming from down 2-0 to win it 5-2 on Friday. On Saturday, Quinnipiac with a quick start, already out in front 1-0. Soren Johnson skating in shorthanded all by himself, beats Charlie Lindgren there for a 2-0 Bobcats lead. Then in the second, though, St. Cloud State answering back. Ben Storm with the second chance gets the goal here, got the deficit to 2-1. But in the third, a great individual effort here by Quinnipiac's Tommy Shute. He will go ahead and get the goal here for the Bobcats as they go up 4-1. They go on to win by that score, getting the sweep over St. Cloud State on the weekend. Number 15, Miami, also making a trip out east to take on number 17, St. Lawrence. A fast-paced game on Friday night. Scoreless after 1 in the second. Miami on the power play. Sean Corrali cutting to the net, centers to Jack Roslovic for the goal and a 1-0 Miami lead. Later in the second, another Miami power play. Scott Dornbrock going to wind and fire from inside the blue line, but the save is made and it's still 1-0 Miami. Then still in the second, Devin Lowe with a couple cracks at it, down low, but he gets denied. Ryan McKay, though, on the other hand, brilliant. 26 saves in the shutout. Miami gets the 1-0 win.
I mean, anytime you can come in this building and play against a team like that, that's pretty good. So we're happy with it. We got to refocus and get ready for another less than 2-hour game tomorrow night.
On Saturday night, then, Miami looking for the road sweep in the second, trailing 1-0. Puck all alone, but Chris Joyu jumps on it and scores to tie things up at 1 goal apiece. Move ahead to the third. St. Lawrence starting to pull away. Puck gonna jump out to Tommy Thompson's stick. He makes that one count for a 4-1 St. Lawrence lead. But Miami would start to mount a comeback after that. Louis Belpedio falling down on this one. Still gets it to Matthew Cato for the goal to make it a 4-2 game. Less than a minute later then, Alex Gasek going to come charging in for the goal here. Cuts it to 4-2. 4-3 rather, but St. Lawrence adds an empty netter as they go on to win 5-3 for the weekend split. Plenty more ahead on the program, including Minnesota Duluth and Notre Dame, who proved this past weekend they are true equals. We'll explain next on NCHC Between the Boards. Fresh off a sweep against in-state rival Minnesota, the number 5 ranked Bulldogs took to the road to South Bend to face Notre Dame, a team they faced in South Bend a year ago and defeated the Irish on their home ice 3-0. Here's this season's edition. And these two teams would be even-steven all weekend long. 2 great games. Pick it up in the first on Friday. Tony Cameronese can't close the deal, but Austin Farley cleans it up for a 1-0 Duluth advantage. It was 2-1 Duluth in the second. Bobby Nardella, though, in the corner, throwing one towards the net, and it deflects in off a defenseman, and just like that, we're tied up at 2 apiece. In the third, off the faceoff, Kyle Osterberg with the initial shot. Austin Young on the follow-up. Puts Duluth back out in front, 3-2, but 2 minutes later, Notre Dame working a power play. Stephen Fogarty to Sam Hare for the one-timer out in front, just slides by. This one ends in a 3-3 draw. What would be in store on Saturday? Pick it up in the second. Notre Dame out in front, 2-0. But Austin Farley going to make a great feed here coming up to Tony Cameronese. Cameronese with the sweet finish. Makes it a 2-1 game. But 30 seconds after that, off the faceoff, and Dylan Malmquist wastes no time on that shot, and the Irish have a 3-1 lead. But 4 minutes after that, back come the Dogs. Carson Kuhlman skating in, gets a shot off, and it's Cameronese with the rebound effort to make it 3-2. Then in the third, Duluth on the attack, and Neil Pionk going to take a shot from the point that somehow gets by everybody, even surprises Pionk himself. And again, it's a 3-3 draw on Saturday night. What a series. How about Western Michigan at Clarkson on Friday night? In the first, Nolan Laporte fighting for the puck and reaps the rewards there as he puts the Broncos out in front 1-0. In the second, Clarkson strikes back, working a 2-on-1 to perfection here. Jordan Boucher with the goal, and it's a 2-1 Clarkson lead. Later on, Western Michigan trying to go out in front. This one, though, clanks off the post, and Clarkson would take advantage of another opportunity in the third. The shot gets blocked by a Western defenseman, but the puck's still loose and eventually gets poked in there. Clarkson goes on to win this one on Friday, winning it by the final of 4-2. On Saturday then, just 2:16 in, Western Michigan looking to strike first once again with pressure on the net. Kyle Novak comes up with the goal. Later in the first, Clarkson on a power play. A.J. Fossen on the doorstep gets the goal to tie things up at 1. Then in the second, is this the same play? It is not, but it's the same result. Fossen puts Clarkson out in front with a commanding lead. In the third, Marley Quince gets the Clarkson goal here. Sheldon Dries trying to get his team back in it later in the third. He comes up with the great effort here, but it's not enough as Clarkson goes on to win 6-2, earning the weekend sweep.
It's hard for a coach to sit here after you got beat 6-2 and say that we played pretty darn well, but we actually did. I liked our forecheck. I liked our puck possession. I liked our overall intensity level. I liked the play of a lot of individual players, so our game was a lot better on Saturday night.
Colorado College would have its hands full at home, skating against the number 4 ranked Boston College Eagles. In the second, no score and a BC breakaway. The save made by Jacob Nahama. But BC comes in again, and Ryan Fitzgerald finishes this time, make it 1-0 Eagles. In the third, now 2-0. Trailing on the play, the one-timer there by Zach Sanford makes it 3-0 as Boston College gets the win on Friday, 3-rip the final.
It's not good enough when you're only a shot away going into the third. I think we should have raised our level a little bit more, and our passion should have went up, I thought, and it just didn't go to where you need to go to win a game.
CC would get another crack at the win column on Saturday night against the Eagles. In the first, though, trailing 2-0, and Ian McCoshen with the long shot gets the goal there, putting BC out in front 3-0. Then in the second, Eagles skating shorthanded, but the puck gets away. Zach Sanford going to get the goal here as he chips it in. 4-0 BC. BC goes on to win and sweep with a 5-0 final on Saturday night. And here are the individuals honored by the NCHC for their play on the ice this past weekend. Offensive Player of the Week honors go to senior forward Tony Cameronese from Minnesota Duluth, who had a 4-point weekend in that thrilling showdown against Notre Dame, notching 2 goals and adding 2 assists. Defenseman honors go to Cameronesi's teammate, freshman defenseman Neil Pionk from the Bulldogs. He registered his first collegiate goal versus the Irish and also had an assist. He led the penalty kill to 9 of 11 success on the weekend as well. Shifting to the Rookie of the Week honors, we go to North Dakota for freshman forward Brock Besser, who had 2 goals and an assist in a sweep against Vermont. And his teammate takes home goaltender honors. Junior goaltender Matt Harinkyu, thrust into the starting role for UND this season, had his first career shutout on Friday, stopping 27 shots. He also made 27 of 29 save opportunities on Saturday for a .964 save percentage and a 1.00 goals against average. That leads us into the polls, and after another strong weekend of non-conference action, 4 of the 6 teams in the country belong to the NCHC, including North Dakota and Omaha at the top of the USCHO.com poll, followed by Denver and Minnesota Duluth. St. Cloud State and Miami check in at 14 and 15 respectively. On the USA Today side of things, shakes out pretty much the same. Omaha number 1, followed by UND at number 2. Denver and Minnesota Duluth 5 and 6, and St. Cloud State and Miami check in at 13 and 14 respectively. And after losing high-end talent to graduation last season, Miami continues to roll. We'll check in with the Red Hawks coming up next. Welcome back. It's been a challenging start for the Miami Red Hawks. They opened the season against defending champion Providence, then had to battle in-state rival Ohio State in a home-and-home series before traveling out east this past weekend for a split against St. Lawrence. It's been a difficult start, but here's a look back at where things have gone for the Red Hawks and where they will hopefully be going.
Expectations for the 2015-16 version of Miami Red Hawks hockey once again high inside their locker room as they come off their first NCHC tournament title and their 9th NCAA tournament appearance over the past 10 years. The regular season opened with much fanfare as Miami began their season with an NCAA tournament rematch at home against defending national champion Providence. A 7-3 loss to the Friars on opening night appeared to strike panic into national poll voters on the outside, which dropped them 7 spots in the rankings the following week, despite rebounding with a 2-2 tie against Providence the next night, a game that featured the first 3-on-3 overtime in NCAA history.
Both teams seeming a little bit tentative and I think unsure as that puck sent in. Corrali trying to chase down his own pass. Then Melnick comes off the wall, has it, he sends it in on net, and into the net he scores!
Entering the season, the national media questioned how effectively Miami would be able to replace top scorers Austin Zarnik, Riley Barber, Blake Coleman, Cody Murphy, and Alex Weidman. The answer to that question appears to be in the Red Hawks' talented freshman class. Newcomers Jack Roslovic and Josh Melnick in particular have shown why they were so highly recruited by the Red and White. Roslovic, a Columbus, Ohio native, had a particularly strong weekend against his hometown Buckeyes, netting both game-winning goals in the Red Hawks' weekend sweep, earning NCHC Rookie of the Week honors and a spot on the NCAA's Top 5 Plays of the Week.
Now near the blue line, Roslovic, nice job trying to split the defense. He shoots and scores! What a great play! Jack Roslovic right near the blue line, turned the afterburners on, split the defense, and then roofed the shot in to give the Red Hawks a 2-1 lead.
We recruit these guys to come in and play roles that they're playing in. And, sometimes it takes a little bit of time, but we kind of knew what we had in our guys, and we believe in our guys. That's why they play.
While 6 freshmen have skated in at least 3 games thus far, including 5 forwards, Miami brought an experienced defensive core back to the fold this season.
When you're talking about defense, you're talking about hard work, you're talking about sacrifice, blocking shots, and making sure guys are in their assignments. And we preach a lot about good sticks and taking away lanes and things like that. And I think our guys are a little bit more determined right now.
And Miami has the top tilt next weekend as NCHC play gets underway. We'll preview their series coming up next. It's a rematch of last year's Frozen Face-Off Championship as Miami travels to St. Cloud State to battle the Huskies this weekend in a top 15 showdown of NCHC action. But as these teams know, the battles get bigger as league play begins. Here's Miami head coach Rico Blasi.
When you go on the road in our league, it's tough sledding, and you have to be ready, not just physically, but emotionally and mentally as well. So, but I know that our league brings the best out in everybody, and that should be a heck of a weekend. I think the road trip to St. Lawrence really helped us come together a little bit, understand some things of our team and situations that we put ourselves in a hostile environment, in a tough building, that hopefully will help us continue to grow.
And Miami St. Cloud State is one of just 3 series in league play this weekend. Number 1 North Dakota travels to Colorado College, and number 2 Omaha is at Western Michigan. There's also a pair of big top 10 showdowns in non-conference action this weekend as number 5 Denver travels to number 4 Boston College, and number 7 UMass Lowell visits number 6 Minnesota Duluth. We will recap all of those games right here next week on NCHC Between the Boards. Until then, enjoy the games, everyone.